Okay, this is a video to talk about the last online assignment for week 2. Here's what you are going to do. I need to fix the numbers. Whoops. But this will be your task 2. This one will actually be your task 3. And task 1 is watching this video. So good job. What we're going to focus on is writing effective paragraphs, writing really good, solid paragraphs. That's the first thing we're going to focus on. So one thing that they really work on upstairs in mainstream English classes is using this graphic organizer to show you all the important parts so you don't miss one, okay? So what you're going to do is you're going to open this and open my document, and it'll take you to a document that looks like, let me open it quick, looks like this, okay? So I've written on it, so your guys's should be blank over here. But this will be what we follow, okay? So each box represents 1 or 2 sentences. So each one of your paragraphs that I ask you to write from now on should have at least 1 sentence, 2, explain usually has 2 sentences, 3, 4, 5. So every paragraph I ask you to write should have at least 5 sentences, okay? And we're going to write our paragraphs using this graphic organizer for a while, just to make sure we get all the good parts so that you know what you need, okay? So at the top of your sheet, you should see that I have the prompt, what we're answering, right? Prompt is a statement that tells you exactly what to write and the important words you need to focus on. So when I'm looking at this, what is the difference between amounts of stress, a lot or a little, and its impact on resilience? So we're going to be writing about that article you read about stress and resilience. So we'll need to open up that article. Before we do that, the key words that I notice in here that I definitely want to show up in my paragraph, I think are going to be stress, impact, and resilience. I think those are the words that I'm going to make sure show up in my paragraph somewhere, or they show up a lot, okay? Prompts are there for a reason. They're here to help you write the best you can, okay? All right, so what you'll need to do then is open up your stress article. So that one should be in your OneDrive, in your language arts folder. You guys highlighted a whole bunch of stuff and answered some questions about this article, okay? So our question is, how does the different amounts of stress, so a little bit of stress or a lot of stress, impact resilience? So I'm looking at the article and I'm thinking main idea, right? Our main idea is that when there was resilience is when you're able to bounce back from a bad experience. So that means you're able to recover. That you had a bad experience, but you came back from it, right? That you were able to keep going. And through the tests and some of the other behavior studies that they found, right, showed that a little bit of stress can actually be good for your resilience, right? It can help you learn to bounce back, learn to come back. But too much stress can actually take away from that. So a little bit of stress is actually good for you, is what we learned, right? So now I need to figure out, all right, well, how am I going to say that in my paragraph? Okay, and it's coming up. Okay, so the first box is going to be your respond, the R part. It's called RICE structure, so we're following each letter stands for something you need in your paragraph, okay? So the R means respond, your answer. So it's going to state your claim or your idea. So that means this will never have be copied from the article. Okay, this will always be in your own words. Okay, so I started it off by just kind of stealing from the prompt. Okay, I take away the question word and usually the verb, and I can borrow this to start my sentence. It's really helpful, especially if you don't know where to begin. So I just started with the difference between amounts of stress and its impact on resilience is that a little stress can make someone more resilient, but too much stress can make someone less resilient. So I went ahead and typed that all together. And when I was typing it, it took me a little while to kind of figure out what I wanted to say. So if it doesn't come to you really quickly, that's okay. Just kind of put something down and come back and fix it later if it doesn't make sense, okay? For today's assignment, you can go ahead and borrow my response, okay? We'll work on creating responses more later. What I'm really interested in seeing if you can do is putting together this next part, our next sentence, which is introduce and cite. The explain part and the closing, we'll practice that later. I really want to focus on evidence today. So the I stands for introduce. Introduce means we're going to provide leading material to our evidence. So I have some examples down here as according to, as stated by, in the article. There's a whole bunch of ways you can introduce things. I like according to. It just sounds fancy. So I started off my sentence according to the article, and I put in the title of my article. I would definitely get in the habit of identifying what you're reading. So maybe it's a book. So maybe according to the book, or according to the video, or according to the article, and then putting the title of it. Okay, that's going to be your introduce part. You're introducing your evidence. So then what you're going to do today is come up with this yellow part, okay? So in the article, we need to come up with what's something we can take from the article, a piece of evidence that proves that a little bit of stress, but too much stress, or a little bit of stress can make someone more resilient. Let's focus on that part first. A little bit of stress can make someone more resilient. What piece of evidence do we have? So if we look at our article, right, you would look through your, it always kicks me out. Just open it up. So we're looking through the article, and you're going to look, I'm going to guess you're going to find it here or here, okay, these two paragraphs. But that's going to be your job. So we're going to pretend like I'm going to use this sentence. Do not use this sentence as your evidence, okay? This does not prove our point. But I'm going to use it as my example, okay? So pretend I'm going to use that highlighted piece of evidence, and you are going to put it in quotations, okay? You're going to copy it word for word from the article, okay? So that's what I did. This is exactly the way it looks in the article, and I put it in quotations, right? Then you'll see I put down here, this is where you're citing the information. Who is the author and what page number did you get it from? This is called an in-text citation, and we're going to get really good at these things. So how did I find this information? How do I know who wrote it? If you go back to the article. Oh man, is it going to kick me out again? Oy. Technology has just not been my friend. Okay, so if you look up at the top by the title, right? This is where I found the title. By Science News for Students. This adapted by Newsella just means that it was changed by the Newsella website. That's okay. I want you just to focus on this author, Science News for Students. So that was the company that wrote this article. So there's my author. And then the page number, you see this is where it breaks. This is page 1, this is page 2. So to make sure that if someone needed to look at my evidence again and prove that my evidence is real, I need to cite it. So I put down in parentheses, that's what these are called. Parentheses, that's what these are called. I put down Science News for Students, page 1, and I put that in parentheses, and my period comes at the end. okay? We're going to practice this one a lot the next few weeks because I want you to get really good at introducing and citing evidence, all right? So for the rest of the assignment, don't worry about this bottom stuff. All you need to do is introduce your evidence, and then cite some evidence. Choose something that's going to prove to us that a little stress can make someone more resilient. Okay? And then we'll compare pieces of evidence and talk about the rest of the paragraph later. Okay, if you have any questions, be sure to let me know. Have a great day, you guys.